Hi friends, welcome to my channel. Okay, so it is literally 8:23 p.m. and this is literally the only time I had today to film this video. So we're just gonna do it. Let's talk about the books that I read in December. I read a total of 9 books, 1 audio and 1 from a Kindle. So without further ado, let's get to it. So the very first book that I read or I listened on audio was, and I don't have the physical copy, but I do intend to buy the physical copy of it. It is Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. Now, I love Tessa Bailey's books. They are so funny, fun, steamy, super steamy, which is right up my alley. However, with this book, I decided to listen to the audio. And I really wish I didn't, because it totally killed the whole experience for me. Let me tell you a quick synopsis of it. And I have my iPad pulled up here because I felt like it was easier to basically read it off to you guys opposed to me trying to explain this to you. It says, a sizzling standalone feel-good holiday romance from Tessa Bailey. 2 weeks before Christmas and all through Manhattan, shop windows are decorated in red and green satin. Oh, that's cute. I don't even think I've read the synopsis of this. I just heard good things about it, so I picked it up for the holidays. When a charming man named Aiden asks my opinion of the decor, it's a tragedy in tinsel, I say, unable to lie. He asks for a better idea with a twinkle in his eye. Did I know he owned the place? No. He put me on the spot. Now I'm working for that man, trying to ignore that he's hot. I can't believe how cheesy this is. I am enjoying this. But as a down on her luck girl with a difficult past, I know an opportunity when I see one and I have to make it last. I'll put my heart and soul into dressing his holiday windows. I'll work without stopping. And when we lose the battle with temptation, I'll try and remember I'm just window shopping. Basically, she's walking down by windows in Manhattan and she literally spots this window and she's so jolly, anti-Christmassy, anti-everything. So she thought it was horrible, and the guy that owns the store basically stands right next to her and asks her, what do you think? And she basically flat out tells him that she thinks it's hideous. So then somehow she ends up getting hired by him, and now she's like his employee, which this book was so good. However, I gave it a 4-star because I listened to the audiobook. The audiobook of this book basically ruined it for me. I was cringing every time the guy narrated the part. I thought it would be enjoyable because a male and a female narrating totally killed the experience for me. Had I just bought the paperback version of the book, I would have given this book 5 because I thought it was quick, fun, steamy, everything you need in a holiday romance. It was great. It's just the audio, I do not recommend. I did not enjoy it. I felt like a teenage girl, reading something so forbidden. That's how cringy it was for me, not enjoy it. The next book that I read was, and this one I read on my Kindle, was A Christmas Spark by Cindy Steele. This one was a cute, quick, contemporary romance. It was lighthearted. So let me just read you the description. When my best friend found out I'd been alone over Christmas, she hooked me up with a week's stay in her family cabin in Idaho. I was on a publishing deadline for my latest book and was really looking forward to a cozy week by the fire, cuddled up in flannel pajamas with my laptop and hot chocolate, alone. So imagine my surprise when I arrived at the cabin during a blizzard and found it already occupied by an all too familiar face and a fine pack of chiseled abs. Even though it had been 10 years since I'd last seen Chase, he had no problem picking up exactly where we left off. I had a big problem with it. So he was basically kind of mean to her when they were younger growing up. So there's that. It didn't matter what he threw at me, the old nickname, the teasing, his charming grin, or even those chiseled abs. Did I already mention those? I refused to let him get to me after the incident. Nope, not me. I was made of stone. Unfortunately, I'm beginning to understand that when you strike Chase against stone, you get sparks. Lots of them. This was such a cute little romance. There was no steam in it. It was a closed door romance. I gave this book a 3.5. And I think I gave it a 3.5 only because there was so much potential there. I feel like this author is known for not doing anything spicy or steamy. So I had no idea going into the book. There was so much potential in so many different parts of the book. It felt flat for me because I was expecting that. So I don't know if people can say that it's a fair rating or not, but for me, 3.5, I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. If it had a little bit of steam, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. Next up, I read Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogle. Now, this book is really, really cute. It's literally, the holidays were never her thing until she unwittingly summons the holiday spirit before her very eyes. Betty Hughes once knew the comfort of luxury, flaunting a collection of designer purses, invaluable dream home in Hawaii. That was before she lost all her money. Long obsessed with her public image, Betty boasts an extravagant lifestyle on social media. But the reality is Betty is broke and squatting in Colorado, and her family has no idea. Christmas, with its pressure to meet familial expectations, is looming when Betty plays a vinyl record of All I Want for Christmas Is You backwards and accidentally conjures Paul, the holiday spirit, in the form of a charming, handsome, if offbeat man. Once the shock wears off, Betty knows she stumbled upon the greatest gift, a chance to make all her holiday wishes come true, plus a ready-made fiance. But as some of Betty's wishes lose their charm, she finds herself thrown off kilter by Hell's sweet nature. Suddenly, grumpy Betty is finding her threat merry and light. But the happier she gets, the shorter Hall's time on Earth goes. Can Betty channel the Christmas spirit and learn to live with goodwill toward all men, or will her selfish ways return as soon as the holidays are over? This was really cute. I gave this a 4-star. I really enjoyed it. It was funny. It was really funny. He was actually a holiday spirit, but his magic is all off. Like, when she wished for something, it would come true in a ridiculous way that was not meant for what she wanted, and so it just made it very comical. It was very sweet. I think I got teary-eyed towards the ending, so I really enjoyed this book, especially for Christmas. It's like a different type of Christmas book, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend if you're looking for something really different, and the grumpy one is the girl and not the guy, and just a cute little romance with a holiday twist to it. Next up, I read Baggage Claim by Juliana Smith. This one was so hilarious. It says, hilarious and heartwarming, Baggage Claim is a rom-com gold. I enjoyed this book so much. It was so fun. Olive Moore has been avoiding her hometown for 3 years now, but when a phone call with her mom has her agreeing to spend the holidays back home with her family, she lets it slip. She will be bringing a boyfriend with her. The only problem with that is she has no boyfriend. This is until she meets a handsome, annoying stranger on the plane who makes her an offer she can't refuse. Finn Beckett has always had good luck, as demonstrated by the gorgeous blonde he's seated next to on a flight to Aspen. One drink too many leads to Olive spilling her problems in his lap, and he feels compelled to help. So he makes her an offer. He'll pretend to be her boyfriend to keep her family off her back and make this the best Christmas ever. Olive and Finn spend the next 2 weeks going on spirit-filled Christmas dates with her family. Their ruse is working perfectly, but Finn can't help but notice Olive is holding something back, something that could ruin everything. This relationship may have taken off smoothly, but with all this turbulence, will they ever make it a baggage claim? This was so cute. I gave this book a 5-star. This one had no steam either, but this one, it was just, I enjoyed it. I love how sweet the guy was. I like how grumpy and snobby she was at times, and I love everything that he did for her, and it was just so cute. It was such a perfect Christmas read, like not too fluffy. There is some topics in there. I really enjoyed this book. This was such a really good Christmas story. And I think what did I annotate? Oh, this is the part where he confesses his love to her, and I just thought it was so sweet the way it was done. 5 stars for me. The next book I read was 'Tis the Season for Revenge by Morgan Elizabeth. This book was so good. So good. I enjoyed this so much. I had such a fun thing reading this book. Think Legally Blonde is basically what this book is about. So it's about Abby Keller, who thought she had the perfect boyfriend, and then she gets dumped. Allie Keller thought that Richard Byrne would be her forever. In their 4 years of dating, she never doubted that she wouldn't end up with his grandmother's engagement ring on her finger. Sure, she had to change a few things about herself to fit that mold, like dyeing her hair, dressing more conservatively, and finding golf enjoyable. Honestly, the most difficult of the changes. But she was sure that at the end of it all, it would be worth it. This is until he leaves her crying outside her apartment wearing a Halloween costume, kind of like Legally Blonde. Having broken it off with her because she's not serious enough, she was just fun, he tells her. And now that Richard has become a partner at his law firm in his sights, he needs to focus on work. So she does what every girl does when she's broken up with. She calls her friends, gets drunk, dyes her hair, and formulates her plan for revenge. It just so happens that the universe supports her efforts and gives her the perfect match to prove to her ex that he made a huge mistake, his boss. Okay, so this book had a few topics in there. Could be triggering to some people. Some mentions of financial and verbal abuse. If that's something that triggers you, I wouldn't maybe recommend reading it, because the verbal abuse in this, it's like kind of there in your face, and some of it is a little bit hard to read, but this book was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It's super steamy, and I just thought it was fun. It's basically about this girl who gets dumped kind of like Legally Blonde in a Halloween costume, and she decides to get revenge against her boyfriend. So she decides to hook up with his boss. I mean, that's pretty much it. It was fun. It was funny. It was very entertaining. There was lots of drama. I had fun with this book. I recommend it 5 stars. I enjoyed it. The next book I read is The Christmas Witch by Dalea Faulkner. This was cute. I gave this book a 3.5. I know that there's some magic in it, but I love magical realism. This is my second magical realism book. It was Christmassy enough, not too much, not too in your face, with a little touch of magic. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It's basically a girl figuring out and finding out that she has magical powers, and she actually builds forces with her middle school enemy, who is also discovering that she's a witch, to fight against this creature that wants to take all the light and all the magic basically in the valley. So it's cute. I enjoyed it. It's actually a very short book. I think it's like under 230 pages. Actually, no, it's 166 pages. But yeah, there's nothing special about it. It was cute. I enjoyed it, but that's pretty much it. The next book I read is The 12 Days of Book Club Miss, Volume 5, I believe, is from Once Upon a Book Club. This was basically a series of short stories, and they were not Christmas themed. Some of them are witchy themed, some of them are fantasy, some of them are love stories. I really enjoyed it. I annotated some of the stories, and I had so much fun reading it. It's literally 12 different short stories that I enjoyed, highly enjoyed. I think it's my first short story book, and I completely enjoyed it. Definitely gonna get theirs this year for sure, because it also comes with gifts, and I was very much for that. The next book I read was How the Grump Saved Christmas by Kingsley. This was so good, you guys. This was so good. 5-star for me. I recommend this book for anybody who is wanting to read a holiday book. So basically, she owns this Christmas farm with her family, who is basically gonna run out of business because it's not doing well. In comes Elias, who his company wants to buy that land and build a tech company on the land, basically to get rid of the Christmas tree farm. The problem with that is that not only is he trying to buy her land and convince her family to give up her land because it's not doing well, he is also her ex-boyfriend. This was such a good book, you guys. I enjoyed every little bit of it. It's sweet, it's cute. I annotated some of it. Let's see if there's a quote in here that I could share with you that I thought it was so sweet. This right here just like warmed my heart, because you get to know the characters, you get to know Elias, and he's not as grumpy as he may seem. And it says, I looked across the table at Isabel, and not for the first time, I had the thought that right there in that woman was everything I ever wanted. Like, how cute is this? How cute is this book? 5 stars for me. Highly recommended. I enjoyed it so much. I loved everything about it. The month of December, I actually read a pretty decent amount of 5-star reads for me, which was really nice. Let's talk about the last book I read, and that's Water Under the Bridge by Kels and Denise Stone. This book was so good. First of all, enemies to lovers, forced proximity, because they kind of work around the same kind of company. They don't work in the same company, but they work kind of for the same cause. I thought this book was so interesting. Avery Soko, a bright-eyed, ambitious do-gooder, is on the cusp of getting her dream fundraising job at the Oceanic Research Organization. Luca Navarro, a former corporate lawyer with an extravagant tie collection and an irritatingly handsome smirk, holds Avery's future in his very large hands. When he calls the news of her rejection, Luca seems to reveal in crushing her dreams. But Avery will do anything to pursue her passion, even accept a job at the struggling startup. Her spell of bad luck finally changes when a competition is announced at a gala that could save her and her new team from going under. Of course, Avery's least favorite person, Luca, also joins the running for the multi-million-dollar prize. At the height of the competition, Avery and Luca realize they've met their match. Will the tense moments, absurd attempts to outdo each other, and the string of games and bets they've concocted turn into a series of failures? Or will it make them into something more than adversaries? This was such a good book. A lot of people complain that, you know, there's a lot of work language, like workforce language involved, but I thought it was so interesting. I thought that him having a lawyer background and her having such an ambition and being a strong woman was amazing. And their banter was great. Their steamy scenes were chef's kiss. They were amazing. I enjoyed them. And I just really loved this book. I gave it a 5-star, and this is part of a series, so I can't wait to read the next one that's coming out. I don't think it's come out yet, but I really, really enjoyed this book. Again, some people said it was too long. It is like almost a 400-page book, but I devoured it. I completely was engaged with it. I was interested in the work aspect of it. I love their banter. I love them as a couple. I love how grumpy he is. I love everything about it. I loved everything about this book. I could say I binged this book. It only took me 2 days, and that's the smallest amount of time it's taken me to ever read any book. Like 2 days, that's pretty, I don't even know if it was an actual full 2 days. I think it was a day and a half that it took me to read this book. I completely loved it, highly recommend. Can't get enough of it. Can't wait to read the other couples in the other series. I do have to say though, that I DNF'd a book this month. I actually started reading The Holidays by Christina Lauren. That book, I got to 150 or something and I couldn't do it anymore. It was kind of like Groundhog's Day, and I don't mind books like that, but there's just too many characters. The relationship between the girl and the guy was very bland for me. It's basically about childhood friends. Their families get together who happen to own a cabin, and they find out the last Christmas that they spend on it that the owners of the cabin, which happens to be the guy's parents, I believe, are selling the cabin. And so on her way back home, she decides that she, wishes that things would be different, and how could she change it, and how could she change that situation. So she basically ends up waking up every day on the plane on the way to the cabin before the festivities and before the event happens. And I believe the book, she relives the same day over and over again. And I believe the book is about her trying to find a way to tell her childhood friend that she's in love with him. But again, it was so boring to me. Like, I did not connect with any character. It was just, everything was kind of bland. The romance wasn't really sparking anything for me. There wasn't much details on the romance either. So I decided I'm going to DNF this book. I'm not going to finish it. So that's the only book I think that I have DNF'd so far. But yeah, 9 books for the month of December was pretty good for me. My goal is to read at least 10 books a month and then go from there. So I have a pretty hearty Goodreads book goal this year. I want to read 100 books for the year. I read 67 books or 70 books, I think. When I read books to my kids, Goodreads counts it, obviously. But I think it said I read like 70 or 72 books. So this year for sure, I definitely want to read 100 books. And I know it's totally doable if I just keep at it. But thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to see more of these videos, follow along with me.